It's June 8th, 2018. Hello, Cyclopians. Let's get right into the news. Avengers 4. A set video has already come out revealing the heroes preparing for battle, and there are spoilers in there, so do be careful if you click on this, but you want to see it. We're barely out of the last Avengers, and already they got spoilers for the latest one, so that's kind of like a head-scratcher. And jumping into DC really quick, Batman is having some best man problems. Did you think it was going to be any other way with Batman marrying Catwoman in a comic book? New Mars discoveries have advanced the case for possible life. That was that big announcement yesterday from NASA. Now they're saying they found some molecules or proto-molecules or whatever it is you want to call it, but they're saying there may be possible, might be, could be life, whatever, down the road, or may have been at one time. But, nothing definite as usual. There's a new VR video game called Along Together, and it's about a young person who is out trying to find their lost dog. And you can pick the male or female or with the dog or whatever, and it sounds pretty cool. And the reason I say that is it's like they're going through all these little adventures trying to find their dog, but the VR thing is really neat. If you haven't tried out a VR game yet, do give it a try. Virtual reality really is going to be the next big thing. I had a chance to try some of those one of those what do they call the headsets you fit over your eyes, and I was playing a horror game, and it was the middle of a bright sunny afternoon. And I felt like I was in this scary house with this monster chasing me around. It was really terrifying. And it's funny because the graphics weren't even that great. But the fact that you're in there, like your brain just suddenly forgets everything outside, and you're in this virtual world, and you're like, man, I'm trapped in here with this thing. So I can't recommend highly enough giving VR a try. It's fantastic stuff. And it's really going to be hot one day. If they just got to get those graphics up a little bit better, get the technology a little bit better, but it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot. So here's another VR game you can check out in the meantime called Along Together. Heading over to more movie news. Remember the movie Kick-Ass? That's going to be rebooted, and also from the same director, Kingsman Universe. They're going to have a whole universe of, and they got film info for both of those, the Kingsman Universe and the Kick-Ass reboot. And if you are a tabletop gamer, particularly Forge World, there's Goblin Mercenaries up for pre-order if you want to buy some of those. I'm sure they're going to be massively expensive, but hey, that's tabletop. When you get into tabletop gaming, you're going to be kicking out a mortgage payment every month for your tabletop figures. I've talked to some of my friends who do that, and I can't believe the amount of money they put into those things, but it does look like a blast. So again, Forge World has Goblin Mercenaries coming. Harry Potter, or actually not Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling fans of the Harry Potter universe, she's writing a script for the Fantastic Beast #3, and so that everything she touches turns to gold. This should be fantastic as well. If you haven't had a chance and you're in the New York City area, do drop by and check out the Harry Potter Broadway show, which is hitting it out of the park right now. And of course, if you're any kind of a Harry Potter fan, you're going to want to see that. Back to video games really fast. Crackdown 3, a lot of news on that today. A lot of sites covering that. Must be a lot of Crackdown 3 fans. I've not played that, but that has been delayed, unfortunately, so we're going to have to wait for more news on that and find out when they're going to get back on schedule. Over to Netflix real fast. This is really weird news. Iron Fist. Season 2 is coming, but no plans for more Defenders. I think this is a trial balloon from Netflix. Of the four, if you take that group, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and then Defenders, let's say 5, that series of shows on Netflix, the weakest one was Iron Fist by far, in my opinion. And everybody I talked to, which is not a huge sample of people by any means, but at least everybody around me also thought it was the weakest one. So I'm a little surprised that they're doing this. I kind of like they're trying to keep Iron Fist alive, and they're saying, okay, well, we'll tell you what, we won't do Defenders. I bet if you write or contact Netflix in some way and you want to see Defenders and you tell them to make sure that they do it again, another season, they will. Because they seem to listen to their customers and their fan base. So do let them know if you like Defenders. I'm just a little surprised. I'm not going to watch another season of Iron Fist. I will watch Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Daredevil, and I would have watched another season of Defenders, but I was really turned off by the one season of Iron Fist for various reasons. I'm not going to get into it here, but I just thought it was weak, and he wasn't a good character, and he cried a lot, and I can't stand watching that stuff. So anyway, We're going to head over a little bit more related to Netflix. Stranger Things. There's a series of books coming, and it is said that one of them is going to cover Eleven's mother, like a prequel kind of backstory on her mother, which should be really interesting. And we'll see if that becomes canon as well. Back to video games, Quake Champions. They have a June update bringing bots and gore, if you're a Quake Champions fan. And the Dead or Alive 6 video game has been announced for multiple platforms, PC and all kinds of consoles. So Dead or Alive 6, a lot of news on that today as well. Terminator 2 fans, of which I'm a big one. There's a bunch of merchandise out, a bunch of shirts and pins looking really cool if you want to accessorize yourself with those. And NASA is going to replan the Juno-Jupiter mission. If you've been following any of the outer planet missions in NASA, they've got a little probe called Juno, and it's orbiting Jupiter and taking pictures of the moons and Jupiter and whatnot. And it's survived through Jupiter's intense radioactive field long enough that they think they can add another 3 years to it. So that'll be really cool. Maybe we'll get a whole bunch of new pictures, maybe a discovery or two. This is kind of interesting news. We covered a really wacky B-grade horror movie called Bone Jangles, and it was a slasher film with a monster the killer was Bone Jangles. And this thing was like off the charts. If you are easily offended or sensitive in any way, shape, or form, do not watch this movie, because this like took PC and basically stomped on it. It was hysterical, and they just left no stone unturned and went nuts in this thing. It's just every kind of wacky mix in this movie you can imagine. And it was so out to lunch that it was actually a lot of fun to watch. And at least for me it was. But we did cover it on Sci-Clops. If you want to review it or check out the trailer, do a search on Sci-Clops.com for Bone Jangles. And we also covered one of the stars in this, which her name is Alyssa Dowling, and I did a bunch of trailers and photos, and because she was the star of Bone Jangles, and she's a really busy star. I wonder if she's going to be back for this one too. Last year she had 15 credits in 2017 alone. And she has a resume of something like 100 horror films, and so she's fast becoming like one of the big scream queens of today. Do check that out. You can also do a search on Alyssa Dowling, Elissa Dowling, Dowling. And again, the movie is going to be Bone Jangles, and they're doing a sequel to it. It's coming out probably within the year, and we will absolutely be covering that when it hits. So watch for that wacky thing to come out. A little bit more back to space news again, because the way I do things here, I'm all over the place. And the Hubble telescope, who can believe it's 28 years since they put that thing up? And they have an anniversary photo today with the Lagoon Nebula, really beautiful photo. If you remember when the Hubble telescope went up, it was a big deal because it was the largest telescope ever, at least for that kind of thing, and it was going to be in space, so it was a really big deal. They were going to get the best pictures of unbelievable quality. Well, doesn't it get up there, and they found out the mirror had been designed wrong and it was warped, so they had to have a second mission go up and actually put a lens on the mirror to fix it, and it worked, and it's been fantastic ever since. So the Hubble telescope is still kicking along 28 years later. The taxpayers got their money's worth out of that one. And you can see some really cool pictures from that Hubble telescope. If you like space or space science at all, definitely click on that link. I was complaining about this a few days ago. Suicide Squad. I don't know what the devil DC is doing with Suicide Squad. Because yesterday they announced a Joker movie with Jared Leto, and there's Batman stuff, but Suicide Squad was humongous 2 years ago, and Harley Quinn was any single fan con or convention you went to, there was people dressed up all the girls were dressed up like Harley Quinn, and the guys were Joker, and it was just the biggest thing. And then it was like, okay, we're just not going to do anything with Suicide Squad. Here we are almost 2 or 3 years later, nothing's been done. And now I got a link, everything known about Suicide Squad 2 so far. So I'm looking forward to it, but I'm really surprised that whoever is behind this is dragging their feet as much as they are, because I would have had another Suicide Squad out the next year or two. At any rate, there's another one coming, and we got a lot of info on it, or whatever you can find on it. It'll be at this link. There's an amusement park slasher film called Hellfest. and that's got a little review. Probably going to be a fun little movie. B grade, I'm sure. And here's a kind of a cool piece of tech. The military, one of the military, I think it's the U.S. military, has a little tiny handheld mini drone that can be launched right out of your hand, and it can scan the area around you. Kind of cool. I love tech like that, and I love drones. So if you want to click on that and see how they're using that, and wouldn't you love to have one of those out of your hand? But of course, you can pretty much get small drones today that can do. That's another bit of technology that my cousin had bought a drone. This was about 5-6 years ago, and he paid a fortune for it. I think it was like $400 or $500 he paid for it. Was a quadcopter, and it went up, and it was really noisy, and it took a few pictures or whatever. And now you can get the same thing in your hand for like dollar stores. Really cool where that technology is going. So the military is using it now too, and it's kind of cool that if they're using it, it's going to be one of the hottest pieces of technology on the block. Jumping out of there really quick, we're back to Harley Quinn once more because DC writer Sam Humphries has teased a Harley Quinn. She's going to have a trip to Apocalypse, Apokolips. If you want to read about that or you're following her in the comics, do check that out. And if you're a board game fan, there's a really cool looking board game being reviewed by BoardGameGeeks.com and BoardGameGeek.com called Solomon Kane, and I'm actually going to click on that in a moment. I'm not going to bother. It's just this cool game. He's like a preacher or a Puritan, and it's set back maybe 100 or 200 or 300 years ago, and he travels the world going after supernatural creatures and magic and putting them down. He doesn't even know why. He just knows he has to do this. So he's kind of like a modern day enforcer, or I'm sorry, modern and ancient enforcer of that time, 1700s, 1800s, traveling all the way from Africa to the New World to Europe to Middle East, everywhere. It looks like a really cool looking game, little figures and everything. Do check that out. Board Game Geek always does a really good job of reviewing their board games. Lots of pictures, lots of details, prices, release times. I can't praise them enough. They're a really good little site. Let me see. Anime Dragon Ball Heroes anime will introduce a new planet if you're following Dragon Ball. And this is kind of big news. Doctor Who Series 11 has a trailer coming out. It's going to be right around the corner. That's the rumor. So we're looking for Series 11 on Doctor Who for a whole new season of Doctor Who shows. That's going to be all for now. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.